Hey there, it's June 17th and time for Proverbs 17. So, this is just more great Proverbs, right? From the subject. Think about this first one next time you go to Thanksgiving, okay? Better a dry crust with peace and quiet than a house full of feasting with strife. Yeah, says it all, right? Sacrifices. But whereas were many sacrifices, there were many portions given to the people wherewith they feasted. Okay. Yeah, this reminds me of Thanksgiving. People you don't see except once a year, and they don't agree with you politically or, religiously, and you end up fighting, and it's just not worth it, right? 2, a prudent servant will rule over a disgraceful son and will share in the inheritance as one of the family. Right? We don't have servants, but I imagine you get a really good servant that's with you a long time, right? Okay, the crucible for silver and the furnace for gold, but the Lord tests the heart. Okay. Now I have a foundry background. I did some time in foundry, and they melt metal. Okay. A crucible is a small heated container where you pour in silver, right? And when you pour silver in, it melts. Okay. And when it melts, all the impurities float to the top. Okay. It's called slag. And then they take a ladle and they scrape that off and throw it away. Okay. Same with gold in the furnace. A bunch of gold in a furnace, it melts. They pour it into what's called a ladle with the big thing to pour it out from, and the impurities float to the top. They scrape that off, throw it away, and you're left with pure silver, pure gold. The Lord does that with hearts, okay? Is it a painful process? Yes, it can be. But if you ask the Lord to purify your heart, He will, okay? And it's something all of us should go through at one time or another, okay? And the same thing, melts it down, gets all the impurities, scrapes them off, throws them away, builds you a new heart, okay? Let's remember that. But it's very well worth it, but it can be a painful process. Right? Or a wicked person listens to deceitful lips. A liar pays attention to a destructive tongue. Right. I think about all these protesters out here, they're doing exactly this. Okay. Exactly this. Okay. 5, whoever mocks the poor shows contempt for their maker. Whoever gloats over disaster will not go unpunished. Okay. If you mock the poor, look down on them, you are showing contempt for God Himself. Okay? Remember that. God made everybody. And more importantly, whoever gloats over disaster will not go unpunished. Right? And it says later in Proverbs that if you gloat over disaster when your enemy loses, God may take their wrath off of them and put it on you. Okay? Important, especially what's going on over on the other side of the world now, with people's homes being blown up and blown to bits. And I mean, somebody will triumph, and you don't gloat over the losers. You don't celebrate. Okay? It's important to know this stuff. Jesus said, love your enemies and pray for your enemies, especially. Right? 6, children's grandchildren, are a crown to the aged, and parents are a pride of their children. Parents are the pride of their children. The glory of children are their fathers. I've noticed my kids like to show me off to their grandkids, right? To their children, my grandkids. So, parents are the pride of their children. Eloquent lips are unsuited to a godless fool. How much worse lying lips to a ruler? And now, every country has had a ruler at some time or other that lies. Mm, and it, a bribe, is seen as a charm by the one who gives it. They think that success will come at every turn. There's more on this later in the chapter. Okay. Lobbyists, right? They bribe our representatives, right? If they agreed with what the people wanted, they wouldn't have to bribe them, but they'd want to do something different to benefit themselves or the company they represent. So they will bribe, and they think it will get them whatever they want, right? 9, whoever would foster love covers over an offense, but whoever repeats at the matter separates close friends. That is gossip, right? Somebody hurts you, covered up, right? Love covers an offense. But if you repeat it, you separate close friends, right? You know what so and so did to me. You know what so and so did to so and so. That's gossip. Okay, drama tears people apart. 10, a rebuke impresses a discerning person more than 100 lashes to a fool. Right, discerning, wise, somebody who wants to find out what the truth is. A rebuke or instruction, right? Reproof impresses a discerning person more than 100 lashes to a fool. 11, evildoers foster rebellion against God. The messenger of death will be sent against them. There are people that just openly mock and blame God, and that's just scary, right? 12, better to meet a bear robbed of her cubs than a fool bent on folly or foolishness. Fool in his folly. Whereby he meaneth the wicked in his rage, who hath no fear of God. Right? Fool's bent on foolishness. Right? A bear robbed of her cubs, you're going to die. You're going to get shredded. And it's better to meet her than a fool bent on foolishness. Right? You know, these people come to mind that are breaking windows and setting cars on fire and jumping up and down on police cars. Right? Fools bent on foolishness. Evil will never leave the house of one who pays back evil for good. Can you imagine paying back? I can't even imagine doing that. Somebody does something nice for you and you pay it back with evil. Happens. Yeah, it happens. Think of, you see videos where kids buy, their parents buys them a new car for their 16th birthday, right? A new car, a beautiful car, a good car, reliable car. And these kids will take a baseball bat and beat it up because I wanted a Porsche, I wanted a Mercedes, I wanted a Corvette. I didn't want this kind of car, right? Pays back evil for good. Evil will never leave that person. 14, starting a quarrel is like breaching a dam. Stop the matter before a dispute breaks out. Okay. That was part of our 15, arguing. We covered that there. Okay. Go back to Proverbs 15, the study, and it's all about debates and arguing and how to do it successfully. Okay. And this is more advice on that. Stopping a quarrel is like breaching a dam. Stop the matter before a dispute breaks out. Acquitting the guilty and condemning the innocent. The Lord detests them both. Happens a lot now, doesn't it? And they're not even hiding it anymore. Okay? Not even hiding it. 16, why should fools have money in hand to buy wisdom when they're not able to understand it? Money in hand to buy wisdom. Is that like going to college? Okay. And people pay to go to college and they're not able to understand it. They just party and get indoctrinated, and do stupid stuff. Yeah. Doesn't make any sense. 17, a friend is born as a friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for a time of adversity. Yeah. You can have friends. You can have friends that you consider brothers, that you know will be there when trouble comes. You just know they will. Okay. And some friends, they don't. They love at all times. I think there's a note over here. A brother. So that he is more than a friend, even a brother that helpeth in time of adversity. Right. Friends, and yeah, I have friends, and I have friends I consider brothers. Right. 18, one who has no sense shakes hands in a pledge and puts up security for a stranger. He talks about this a lot. Okay, this is co-signing for somebody else's loan. That's what they call it today. Back then, they called it putting up security for a neighbor or stranger. Okay? So if that person doesn't pay, they're going to come after you for something you didn't buy, something you don't know, something you don't have, and they're going to take what you have. Okay? Don't do it. 19, whoever loves a quarrel loves sin. Whoever builds a high gate invites destruction. Right. It was in the old days, and somebody would build a castle with high walls. And if it was just a house in the country, people would leave it alone. But since it's a castle with high walls, like, I want to know what's in there. I want to break those walls down, right? It invites destruction, right? Whoever loves a quarrel loves sin. There's people just love to argue, okay? There are. Lifts themselves above their degree. Right? 20. One whose heart is corrupt does not prosper. One whose tongue is perverse falls into trouble. It may seem like they're prospering, but it always ends bad, okay? 21, to have a fool for a child brings grief. There is no joy for the parent of a godless fool. Now these kids are burning cars and burning buildings, and how do you think their parents feel? Okay? I would not be proud. Okay. Another one of my grandmother's favorite verses, 22. A cheerful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones. See, up there, you can ask the Lord to purify your heart. And once that's over, you can have a cheerful heart. It's a good medicine. It'll make your whole body feel better, right? The crushed spirit dries up the bones, right? The human spirit can be crushed, and it's a terrible thing. Many homeless people are there because of a crushed spirit. You can't go on with a crushed spirit, okay? It can kill you, and it is very hard to fix. Not impossible, but it is hard to fix, okay? Think of some homeless people that are there because the man, you hear the stories, his wife and his children were killed by a drunk driver, right? And he just lost all hope. His spirit's been crushed. His life is over as far as he's concerned, right? How do you fix that? You know, can you? God can do it, but hey, here's the one I was talking about, connected to the one up there, right? The wicked accept bribes in secret to pervert the course of justice. Let's jump back up here. Okay. A bribe is seen as a charm by the one who gives it, that they think success will come at every turn. Oh, these things are so... The wicked accept bribes in secret to pervert. This is to pervert the course of justice, right? To pervert the course of justice. A bribe is seen as a charm by the one who gives it. They think success will come at every turn. Both sides of the coin, right? The wicked accept bribes in secret. Right? There are wicked people pretending to represent us, but they don't. They represent themselves and whatever corporate interests are paying for their votes. Okay? Pervert the course of justice. 24, a discerning person keeps wisdom in view, but a fool's eyes wander to the ends of the earth. As over here, wisdom is in the face of him that hath understanding. But the eyes of a fool are in the corners of the world. Corners of the world. That is, wander to and fro and seek not after wisdom. Ends of the earth, corners of the world. And it talks about the flat earth theory, right? Maybe the earth is flat, maybe it's not. This says it has corners, and this says there's an end to it. Just saying. Fool's eyes wander to the ends of the earth. Someday I'm going to win the lottery, right? 25, a foolish son brings grief to his father and bitterness to the mother who bore him. You got to take this out of kids when they're very young, right? By the time they're 8 years old, they should know right from wrong, and they should know all the rules, right? You get that by spankings, discipline, right? Once they reach a certain age, you can no longer teach them because they won't listen to you. It's their teenagers, right? Once your kids are teenagers, you become the dumbest person on earth. You can no longer teach them, right? They will bring grief to their father and their mother. 26, if imposing a fine on the innocent is not good, surely to flog honest officials is not right. This happens too, doesn't it? All the time. People are sued, and they didn't do anything. Right? They're innocent. But these crooked people up here, wicked bribes in secret, pervert the course of justice. Right? They rule against them, and they're innocent, and everybody knows they're innocent, but they still rule against them, right? Not good. 27, the one who has knowledge uses words with restraint, and whoever has understanding is even-tempered. Okay? That's a fancy way of saying keep your mouth shut. Okay? In most cases, somebody's talking, they don't want to know the truth, okay? They just want to spout off what they believe and have the light on them and have everybody looking at them. Correcting them will do no good. Right? If you have knowledge, you'll know when to shut up, okay? Right? And don't let them anger you by saying the stupid stuff that they say. Just keep your mouth shut, right? Good stuff. Even fools are thought to be wise if they keep silent, and discerning if they hold their tongues. Okay? It says they keep quiet, and even fools are thought to be wise if they keep silent. A person is wise if they keep quiet, right? So, what did we highlight in here? Crucible for silver and the furnace for gold, but the Lord tests the heart. Right. It says over here, so the Lord tests the heart, as is in refining pot for silver and the furnace for gold. Right? God will test your heart. If you start following him, right, at some point, he will test your heart. And if you ask him, he will purify it. It'll change your whole outlook on life, okay? Because from the heart, everything flows. Okay? 5 is highlighted. Whoever mocks the poor shows contempt for God himself, right? For their maker. And more importantly, whoever gloats over disaster will not go unpunished. Okay? Think about this. Well, the disasters are happening. Oh, good for them. I'm glad. I hope they all died. Wrong. Okay? Wrong. Okay. It's a terrible thing. Sometimes it's necessary, right? Your enemies, and he talks in different parts of Proverbs and in the Bible where it is necessary that your enemies lose, but you're not supposed to gloat over that, okay? Eight is highlighted. A bribe is seen as a charm by the one who gives it. They think success will come at every turn, right? We'll jump down here to 23. The wicked accept bribes in secret to pervert the course of justice. Sounds different when you put those two together, right? A bribe is seen as a charm by the one who gives it. They think success will come at every turn. They got to be bribing somebody, right? The wicked accept bribes in secret to pervert the course of justice, right? Change their vote. A person is voted to the House of Representatives. They are representatives. They are supposed to be representing the people in their district, and they're supposed to know the people in my district want this, they want this, they want this, they don't want this, and that's how they're supposed to vote, like what the people want. We elect representatives because otherwise all of us would have to go to Congress and vote, and that would take a lot of time, right? So we have representatives. And if they're not representing us, if they're accepting bribes to pervert the course of justice by these people that love to give bribes and big corporations, they shouldn't be in there, okay? It ought to be illegal. It really should. Lobbying should be illegal, and it should be punishable by expulsion. So, I can beat that horse for a while. Okay, 9 is highlighted. Whoever would foster love covers over an offense, but whoever repeats the matter separates close friends. Gossip, okay? You tell gossip, this person did this to so-and-so, we hate him now. That's not your business, okay? You're just going to separate friends, okay? Somebody usually said, please don't tell anybody I'm having this problem. I need you to pray for me. And then you tell somebody, and they tell somebody because they didn't know that the person told you in secret, right? And it gets back to this person, and he says, you're the only one I told. Now everybody in church knows about it. You are no longer friends. You can no longer be trusted, okay? But most time, it just let it go. Okay? Keep scrolling your friend the internet, okay? Don't get offended. Okay. Part of the arguing series we're going to put together. Starting a quarrel is like breaching a dam, so stop the matter before a dispute breaks out. If you know something is going to anger somebody, if that's a soft spot, right? Don't go there, okay? Wives, husbands, don't go there, okay? Don't go there. You know it's going to start an argument. It's like breaching a dam. Okay? Okay. 22, cheerful heart is good medicine. Right? But a crushed spirit drives up the bone. When we talked about that, the crushed spirit. They call it oppression now, okay? Lots of people are oppressed. And we talked about that one. And 27. The one who has knowledge uses words with restraint, and whoever has understanding is even-tempered. If you're even-tempered, it means you will use words with restraint and know when to keep your mouth shut. Say yes, no, okay, okay? And even fools are thought to be wise if they keep silent. Thought to be discerning if they hold their tongues, right? The quiet person is usually the ones with the knowledge. The ones you should be afraid of is the one who's sitting in the corner quietly, not everybody that's jumping and screaming, right? So there you go. That's Proverbs 17. Good stuff in here. It's a good stuff. We'll just keep doing this. Stay tuned later. We are in the book of Acts. Okay, going through it. Day 168, I believe, of the Bible in a year. Right? Started the Acts, and it's going to take a while. Hopefully, I hope it'll take a good long time to go through this book because it's the entire history of the apostles. Okay, pretty much what they did. You know, follows the life of Peter and Paul. Okay, and Acts was written by Luke, actually, the doctor, who accompanied Paul on much of his latter missionary journeys. Right, he was a doctor, and we all know that Paul had some kind of affliction. Either it could have been glaucoma or, you know, something from being blinded in Damascus that never quite healed, right? Or something else. But, you know, the doctor was there with him all the time. So that's an interesting journey we're going on. Stay tuned for that. Catch somebody you may have missed. Give us a like if you think about it. And we'll continue tomorrow. See you then.